the funny thing about my journey, I didn't learn how to wrestle until after I left the WWE. It wasn't until because when your only experience is wrestling on TV, you learn how to be a timed wrestler, a TV wrestler. Once I started going and doing indies, and my first run on the indies, I wrestled Billy Gunn. And I still remember going up to Billy and saying, all right, Billy, it's 3 hours before the match. I'm like, all right, Billy, what are we doing tonight? He went, huh? I'm like, what do you want to do tonight?
We're going to fucking work. That's what we're going to
do. He said, oh, I'm over with the deal. I'm like, okay, well, how you want to get there? He's like, Matt, can you lock up? I'm like, yeah. He's like, we'll call it out there. We'll be fine. And learning, but once you learn that, it frees you up.
So you never had to do any of that in WWE? Literally, like the house shows or anything like that?
Not once.
Who did they pair you up with?
Well, I would listen, but remember, I would listen to people. I would listen. And I never called spots. I never did anything in my time in WWE.
Really?
It wasn't until I didn't learn to wrestle until I left the business, until I left the big company.
So you didn't do it like a program or anything like that with anybody where, like I'd be in a program with Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy and I were married to each other on the house shows for months.
I would do those, but remember, you already were a veteran by the time you got there. I wasn't. I had to have everything either called to me or I had to have like guys like Raven wouldn't call stuff, but I had to listen to 100% of what he was saying. So it wasn't until after I left until I started doing programs with Billy, with Rhino. And I would then be like, okay, you guys say it's easier to call it out there. And then you start realizing if I go to do something and the crowd don't know what we're going to do, you'll hear from their reaction whether what you're doing is right or you need to about face. And it becomes so much. That's what I tell younger wrestlers whenever they ask me, learn to call things in the ring, learn to call things out there, not back there, because it's so tough to remember spots. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. Yeah. In fact, at the academy, we do match night. One night a week. It's for us right now. It's Thursday night. I pair people up, and you guys have a 10-minute match. You guys have 7-minute match. You guys, have a tag match, whatever. I find that when I just go, you go.
You're helping them more. Better. You're helping them more than they know. That's doing more for their careers. It's terrifying when you don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
But once you learn, I tell people it's freeing. Once you don't have to sit backstage 30 minutes before your match and think, okay, lock up, shoot off, take a tackle, drop down, boom, boom, boom. Like that's so I don't know how people do that anymore. It's the worst.
I have a terrible memory to begin with.
Yeah, me too.
To remember all those, there's stuff that like Will Ospreay and Ricochet and those guys do. Like the memorization, I don't know how they do it.
I don't either.
It's insane.
And you can tell. And I was watching. I was skipping through the channels 6 months ago, and I'm not going to say which company or who or what, but who was working. But my girl who hates wrestling, she thinks this business is stupid.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's how I knew she was the one. And we stopped on wrestling and I'm watching the last 3 minutes of it. And she looks at me and she goes, it looks like they're dancing. And everything looks just so perfectly scripted. It doesn't look like a fight. And you're doing more for your students by you go. And they can't call anything. Man, that's helping them way more than they know.
And I suggest to them to do it on shows. Actually do it. Don't talk to each other in the back.
Absolutely. The wrestling business is truly the one business where less indeed is more. And if you just listen to the people, they'll tell you the direction they want you to go.
Yeah. But that's where knowing the basics, knowing the fundamentals really comes in. You can't just do that if you don't know the basics, right? You definitely have to have like some sort of training.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me that like you didn't have any sort of training.
Never.
You didn't pay your dues?
Yeah. That's why that hence Bob Holly. But the first time I ever stepped foot in a wrestling ring was for Tough Enough. That was my first time. Locking up, that was my first time. Taking a headlock, learning everything. I learned it. I mean, America literally watched me learn everything for the first time.
It's interesting you say there that I find it always very interesting when you're watching wrestling with your wife, your partner, and they don't follow wrestling, because my mate Todd, his wife Kirsty, he's told me this, and this was before they got married. He says, I was watching wrestling with Kirsty, and this was at a time where the women were not featured really well, right? And the matches were very short, and that's no disrespect to them, but sometimes people would skip through them to get to the next match. And she looked at him, she goes, so you're telling me you're watching guys in their underwear, right? And you're skipping the women to get back to the guys, right? That was her thought. And I went, that's genius. Like, that's actual genius. Like, us as wrestling fans, like, we don't think the same way as someone that doesn't. It's like we are truly in our own lane. And I think it can only be pointed out by people that are not in the bubble. And I think you say that with your partner.
Yeah. But and you're 100% right. I would have never thought about that.
I've never thought about that until you just said it right now.
You're accurate, though.
Right.
It's accurate.
Crazy.
It just goes to show, though, and I think everybody has a little bit of my time was the best. Just this is how we're wired.
Rosy retrospection, right?
Exactly. Like, if most people will sit and think about their days in high school, but they'll forget about getting picked on, or they'll forget about not getting chosen for something, or so and so not dancing with them. But they look back and it was the best. But wrestling has gotten to a place of where everything is called, and you can tell. And I miss the days of seeing Taker and Shawn and knowing these guys are figuring it out right there. I miss those days.
Booker T and Chris Benoit, I remember I had a best of 7 series when I was on SmackDown, and every night they would go out and do like a 2 to 3 segment match, and every night the only thing that they knew was the finish.
Wow.
And I remember thinking that's crazy. Yeah. Guys. And to be fair, like, that's really how a lot of those guys operated. Like, when I was doing a program with Taker, we didn't call anything during the day. We just had a couple spots here and there, but everything that's really, really, really super important.
Yeah. But it's basically stuff that they wanted to get in. Stuff they wanted that, I want to do the deal. At some point. Yeah. And then I'm going to want to, you good with taking this? Yeah. Okay. But you don't know where you're going to slide that in. You don't know what you're going to do. I remember Billy telling me, if we both take 4 bumps, we've taken too many. And he was right. And just going out there and just listening to the crowd, it's almost like a light bulb goes off. Yep. And you're like, holy shit, this is the way to do this. Why have I been doing it the other way?